These are the Chicago Gooners, and this is their founder, Gary. Today, we are going to be answering the question of why they get up so early to support a football club from a different city 4,000 miles away.
My name is Gary Winters, born in Chicago. My relationship to the Chicago Gooners is I started this club in the 1999-2000 season in a bar down the street from where we are right now called Ginger's Ale House. Though in those days, they did have a satellite feed for some games, but you didn't know what games were going to be shown because it was called Centanta, and they would only provide one game on a Saturday and one game on a Sunday, but they would never say who was going to play. So what we had to do is go down there. There was a $10 cover charge to get in, and we would really hope that the Arsenal were playing. Most of the time it was, you'd think Man United probably, but a lot of times you'd walk in, it would be Coventry versus Bolton. You'd be like, ah. But then we had somebody who had a shortwave radio, so we would go in the back room and listen to the Arsenal match on shortwave while we're watching Bolton play, Coventry or whatever it was. That first double year under Arsene Wenger was one of the most amazing experiences of my life. I'll never forget that, ever. And it was weird because in England, you can't put like Leeds fans, Spurs fans, and Arsenal fans in the same bar because they'll all murder each other. But here we did that. I was able, people were at least, decent to each other. And there was a lot of Arsenal fans that started to gravitate towards us because everybody found out about Ginger's. It was a big Arsenal bar. So then when we won the first double, it was great. And then by 1999, me and two other guys were like, we should start a fan club, a supporters club, because it doesn't exist here. So we started Chicago Gooners in 1999-2000 season. That was the beginning of what we have today.
My name is Dilly. I'm a member of Chicago Gooners, big Arsenal fan. I actually started supporting Arsenal in 2010, and maybe I think like 2012, 2013 is when I got involved in like the leadership of Chicago Gooners and started running the entire branch. I really enjoy being part of a bigger community, and specifically Arsenal. I feel like they are also very invested in the community as well. I helped start up like a Facebook group and I think Diana, shout out to Diana, she started our Twitter accounts. So both of us helped get it maybe a little more organized, but before then it was Chicago Gooners and it was here at the Boat Hop. So I actually have a very special relationship to Arsenal because I actually met my husband through Arsenal. So I started going to Junior Grow, which is like a big Arsenal meetup down in New Orleans. I was actually crowned the first Student Rock Queen, and then I met Caleb there, and we dated long distance for a while before he moved here to Chicago, and we're married now. We're married for 5 years now, so it's been great, and we took our engagement pictures at the Emirates and everything. So a lot of my life and a lot of my friendships and relationships are entrenched in Arsenal.
My name is Alan Herrera. I am one of the board members for the Chicago Gooners. I've been coming here for 8 years now. A good friend of mine, his name is Bobby. We grew distance for various reasons, but I knew that he was an Arsenal fan, and I started wanting to get into a Premier League team. I started talking to him about Arsenal and what it means to him, and he told me he comes here to the Globe whenever he can, from the suburbs, win or lose. It feels like it's family over here, and he told me basically everything from that, and we started talking more and more about Arsenal, and I started falling in love with the club. My roommates were like, what the fuck are you doing? What are you running around for? I'm like, Arsenal just scored and won at the last minute. And they were like, okay, they were rolling their eyes, and I'm like, all right, you guys are not my friends anymore. Whereas we're over here, I can cheer, I can yell at the TV to a point. And laugh and cry with various of my friends. The first time I ever came in here, I immediately fell in love with not just Arsenal I was already in love with, but like I came in here and I felt the love of the community and everything. And that's, I remember specifically Dilly coming up to me and saying, hi, how you doing? And we talked for a little bit. She went on to do her thing, and I want to make sure that people feel when they walk in for the first time that it feels like it felt for me, like I was walking in and meeting family for the first time ever.
Watching Highbury back then was like a dream, you know. It's like, I wish, you know, I was at the clock end, you know, in the terraces being pushed around. There's no seating. I mean, you had talked to some of the guys in there that were there, and it's like, you know, Arsenal would score a goal and you'd be yay, and then all of a sudden you'd be 15 or 20 feet away from where you were because everybody has moved.
So shout out to Gary. When I first started coming here, I was very, very shy, not outgoing at all. I was like taking a picture of the Chicago Gooners flag, and he came over and he said, "I think you want a shot of whiskey?" And that was how our friendship started.
Our first game was in 2004, Arsenal Man United Charity Shield. The Chicago Gooners was here. There was 8 of us.
I can't control what happens on the pitch. I can control what happens here. And here is, I want to be with my friends and laugh about it, cry about it, and be happy about it. And that's more important to me than what happens with the results. If it means that we win the title at the end of the season, that's a cherry on top. Honestly, I care more about the people in here than the 11 players on the field.
So the relationship that I've had with the Arsenal over time, it has evolved because, like I said before, you know, you're in the radio, you're watching it here, you're hoping that this is going to go on. You're watching the results come in when you don't know them, when there was no iPhones, there was no anything. You were just hoping to see the result because back in the day, you really had to make an effort. But the fact that we still have the amount of people we have coming in here speaks volumes, not only for Arsenal, but I think for the Chicago Gooners itself. You know, Dilly is now running it, which she's doing a great job. But I think nothing has really evolved from me as far as my support of the Arsenal. How I view the Arsenal now and how I'm able to watch the Arsenal, that's changed. And I'll never not, you know, be an Arsenal supporter. I mean, I grew up in the south side of Chicago or by Comiskey Park, so I was kind of a White Sox guy, but then I'm like, oh, baseball's boring and stupid. And then my dad had season tickets to the Blackhawks at the old Chicago Stadium, so it was like that, and that continued until we won, you know, 3 Stanley Cups in a row. And I had season tickets for that too. And then they had a bit of a scandal. You know, a childhood love was the Blackhawks of mine, and it destroyed me. And I don't even watch them anymore. But this, it's 1,000 times different. It's so personal, especially with the people you're with, you know?
That was a lot of what Alan spoke about, is how
it's community.
Yeah, about how watching was more about being here with people and like coming together. Like that was a lot of what he was speaking of.
Yeah, going to a Blackhawks game was always, you know, when it was my dad at the stadium, it was always like, hey, fun, blah, blah, blah. And then when I got to be an adult, I got my own season tickets. And then Bill Wirtz died, and it was awesome. And then we had a bit of, you know, we had 3 tickets, and me and actually one of the guys that's in there now, going to games. There's 80 games, so 40 games at home, and some of those games are like on a Tuesday, and then the next game's on a Thursday. It's like, oh my God, my liver can't take this anymore, you know. But there was a sense of community there as well. But it was all, if I would see people here and there at the Chicago Stadium, and then United Center, it was like, hey, how's it going? Blah blah blah. You know, this is I don't know. It's like way different. You know, the Arsenal can't be compared to, you know, any club. And I'm sure there's a lot of supporters out there from other teams that feel the same way about their clubs too. But I mean, to me, this is nothing that I'll ever stop loving like I did with the Blackhawks. This is never going to change, ever.